Turbo and 2K show.
What is up, 2K crew? It is that time of the week again. Welcome back. Okay, cool. No big deal. Welcome back. Yes, it is. Like I said, it is that time of the week. I am super pumped to get going. However, it is super fucking hot. Super hot here in Michigan. One of my old co-workers used to describe heat like this as it's hotter than two squirrels fucking in a wool sock. And by God, he is right. It is hot. It is hot, hot, hot outside, but you know what? Thankfully, we have this lovely studio in a basement instead of like when we started this journey with the Turbo and 2K show. We were in my house where we had it was like my little office space in my house, and we had a window air conditioner which we had to shut off while the recording was going on. So thankfully, excuse me. And yes, I know a lot of the mics and the recording software and everything else has kind of helped kind of drowned out the outside noise. But man, oh man, yes, those were some long, long, hot hours, and I could not imagine doing that today. Speaking of which, speaking of being hot as fuck, 2Ks did spend the day all weekend, as a matter of fact, on call. So he is tapping out of this one, and I almost tapped out of this one myself because, yes, it is super hot. Super hot. But you know what's even hotter? Fucking sports, which is why I'm here today. We have a bunch of news. We've got we're going to go over some of the reaction that I got from the show last week, talking about the Devers trade and kind of some stuff that's come out after that, after the fact, that kind of backs up what I was saying, but I'm not going to get ahead of myself. And we're going to talk about kind of the state of the MLB as it is right now on June 22nd, 2025. So I did decide to go live on my personal Facebook. So for those of you watching over on Facebook, do yourself a favor, get on over to YouTube, subscribe, youtube.com/turbo and 2Ks. And for those of you watching on Twitter and on Facebook, welcome, hello. I hope wherever you are, it is a little bit cooler than it is here in Michigan, because man, oh man, is it fucking hot. It is hot. It is hot. That's about the only way to describe it. And normally this heat comes in the end of July, first part of August, yet it's the last part of June. Haven't even got, I believe yesterday was the official start to summer, and oh my gosh, yes, it was hotter than shit. Hotter than shit, but you're not here to hear me bitch about the heat. Let's talk about some news. Let's talk about some news going around on this day, or this, since we met last time in the sports world here. Let's start out here. We have a World Series champion, ladies and gentlemen. The LSU Tigers bring home the 8th national championship in LSU baseball history, per SEC Network over on Twitter. This was the Chanticleers came in riding a 26-game winning streak, and LSU beat them not once but twice to win the College World Series. So kudos to them. And I'm sure the bar that's right around there that does the Jello Shot Challenge, if you follow any part of anything on Twitter, you saw that both Paul Skeens and Livy Dunn were down there to help not only buy but distribute said Jello Shot. So I am very sure LSU probably extended their record, because they did have the record when Skeens was there winning his championship. But I'm sure that 68,000 or whatever Jello shot, that number has been surpassed since him and Livy were down there, as well as the other LSU fanatics. So congratulations to the LSU Tigers on their massive series win. Speaking of massive wins, we have a champion in the Travelers Championship. This is from Ryder Cup USA over on Twitter. Captain Clutch. What a way for Captain Keegan Bradley to win the Travelers Championship. #GoUSA. This was huge because he was not the leader coming down the stretch. Tommy Fleetwood was, and it was kind of this: is Fleetwood going to get his first win, if not ever, but in a while? And I believe I checked in, they were finishing up hole 16, and Fleetwood had a 1-shot lead on Keegan, and it looks like Keegan came away with the victory, because I did not see the actual finishing, but kudos to him. Kudos to golf because they keep putting out bangers. It seems like every single weekend. We had the PGA last week. Now we or the U.S. Open last week, and now we have the Travelers leading up to the Open over across the pond. And for those of you that are looking for the Pacers and Thunder are tipping off here very shortly if they haven't yet. I don't know if my browser just hasn't refreshed, but Game 7. Game 7, absolute banger of a game with Game 6. Let's see how the... I'm curious to see how the Thunder respond after kind of getting manhandled for the vast majority of that game, as well as to see if the Pacers can close this out on OKC on OKC's floor, where yes, they stole game 1. Let's see if they can make it bookends back, 1-7 on the Thunder's floor. And like we talked about on the show, when this whole it seems like 6 months ago now, but when the NBA playoffs started, for those of you that don't like the Thunder being in this position, don't like them being in the finals, this could be the worst Thunder team we see in the next 5 years. They're only going to get better with the draft capital that they have. I mean, obviously they could just take those picks, but obviously, they could package those, get players, who knows. Speaking of which, some more breaking news. Kevin Durant has been traded to the Rockets. It was rumored that the Spurs were kind of like, that on the top of his list, but he ends up going with the Rockets. And one of the cool parts about the NBA is they kind of strike while the iron's hot. We're recording this on Sunday, and if I'm not mistaken, the draft is Wednesday. And if you remember back to the NFL, Super Bowl's over in February, and we got till like March until the draft. Yes, I know. In that being said, the national championship's done way before then. The March Madness has been done for quite a while, so plenty of time for those combine numbers to come in, plenty of time for the scouting and everything else to come in. So kudos on the NBA. Strike while the iron's hot. Let's get let's get the draft and free agency underway. So yes, my prediction at the jump on this series was Pacers in 7. So let's see if it cashes in. I'm going to give you guys and gals updates as we go, and we do have the Mets at Phillies over on ESPN. Score is tied 0-0 going into the bottom of the 4th. We have the kind of scuffling Mets with the red hot Philadelphia Phillies that are tied atop the I almost said AFC, the National League East. So big game in regards to that, but we'll get to a little bit more baseball here in a little bit. Some other things here. Since we did all the kudos, the congratulations, let's get to a little bit more news type stuff. This is from Underdog MLB. Notable 2024 MLB draft picks to debut this season: Chase Burns, Nick Kurtz, Jack Caglione, Cam Smith, and Christian Moore. And this is relevant because we're seeing these guys start to, Cam Smith is, I believe, broke camp with the Astros, and now Caglione just came up here recently. Not only had his first home run, but his first multi-home run game. So these guys are, I can't remember. I know we had Skeens 2 years ago, and that just kind of seemed like he could have went from the College World Series straight to Pittsburgh and went right on and pitched that season instead of having to wait, until the next season. But it seems to me like this is becoming more and more of a regular thing where your draft picks are playing the next season and kind of bypassing a lot of the the double A, single A, triple A. And as we know, as Red Sox fans know, once those guys make it to the big leagues, that's when the arbitration clock starts. So they're bringing these guys up earlier and earlier, meaning they're going to have to pay them earlier and earlier. And hopefully the guys that we just mentioned get their bag with the team that drafted them, because that's what every baseball fan wants. The ones that are in it, the ones that are in it for 162 games. We also kind of keep track of what's going down in the farm system. So it's good to see the those kids come up, contribute right out the gate, and have success. And speaking of Cags, like I said, his first multi-home run game is coming, with a Kansas City team that is lacking in the power. So good for him, good on him, and hopefully all of those guys make a huge contribution going forward this season. Switch to a little bit of football here. I actually found this really cool. This is from College Football Alerts. College Game Day reveals that the headgear picks will end with Lee Corso, and I think this is the right move. To me, this is the right move. This is kind of what got him started. This, picking of the headgear, that whole celebration around that. He's the one that that was his shtick. That was his ordeal. That was his thing that kind of made him Lee Corso, even though it's still the man that all of us grew up loving and following on game day. But that's what made him stick out, was the headgear selection, and it was featured on every show since he picked the Buckeyes. I don't know how many years ago, and rightfully so. When he's done, that should be done. Could you imagine being one of the guys or gals on that ESPN set? Now all of a sudden they're like, okay, you get to choose a headgear. You get to choose the headgear after coach has been doing it for 30 plus years. No, thank you. That was his. Let's figure out something to, I'm not going to say take its place, but kind of take its time slot. Let's put it that way, because I guarantee all college football fans will agree you cannot replace the headgear selection on College Game Day. So good for the higher ups on College Game Day to realize that, yes, the person is retiring. Let's retire the whole tradition as it is altogether. So good for them. Another newsworthy thing here. This is from ML Football. Wild rumor: Joe Burrow's father allegedly placed a $2,000 bet on his son to win the Heisman Trophy during his time at LSU. The bet was placed at 200-1 odds, and when Joe Burrow won the Heisman, his father reportedly won $400,000. Crazy story if it's true. And man, oh man, I really do hope that's true. I'm a huge fan of that. Not only the biggest put your money where your mouth is type situation. Absolutely love it. And, you're backing your son, which is always a plus. Every son wants their father's approval, wants their, kind of kick in the pants when we need it, motivation. What better motivation is this? What better motivation is it? Hey, dude, you were 200-1. I threw some cash on you. Let's go out and win this Heisman. Absolutely love that. And just and like I said, I want this to be true so bad, because that to me tells me not only is Joe Burrow a dog, but his dad is even a bigger dog, and following in Pop's footsteps. I mean, gambling part aside, but just the overall mentality, the overall, I'm going to win this. This is the type of person I am. Absolutely love that. Want that to be true so bad. So bad. Got another one here from baseball. Just decided to mix it up here a little bit. This is about our boy Juan Soto. This is from Hembo over at ESPN. Juan Soto's career: 1,000 hits, 830 walks, 17 hit by pitches. Most times on base prior to turning 27. Mel Ott, Mickey Mantle, Ty Cobb, Jimmy Fox, Mike Trout, Al Kaline, Juan Soto. And tidbit: he turns 27 in October. So he's at the bottom of this list with 1,847. And Mel Ott, it sits at top with 2,172. Now, I highly doubt he's going to get there, get to that level, but he's 40 shy of Mike Trout. That's definitely going to get past prior to the end of this season. So getting up there in that Ty Cobb, Jimmy Fox type territory, totally possible. Totally possible. And what does that tell you? What does that tell you? Two of those guys on that list, their picture on Baseball Reference is in color. Everyone else's is black and white. And when your picture is up with the black and white photos, you're doing something really, really good, something that hasn't happened in quite a long time. So just to kind of put into perspective the kind of player that Juan Soto was, and hopefully is going to be, if you're a Mets fan, because you paid him a shit ton of money. But it's kind of cool to see where along the timeline, guys of our era, because we all know the game has changed since Melott and all Jimmy Fox and all those guys. The game has changed. The game has changed a lot. So it's always cool to see where these present day players rank up, rank historically. So I'm all about lists like that. And I got one other list here similar to that, but by a player that's a little less known than Juan Soto. But I was hoping that 2Ks would be here because this is one of his guys. Again, from Hembo, most gold gloves among infielders. Brooks Robinson with 16, Ozzie Smith with 13, Omar Vizquel with 11, Keith Hernandez with 11, Roberto Alomar with 10, Mike Schmidt with 10, and Nolan Arenado with 10. Now, yes, he's tied, at the bottom of this list with 10, but the interesting number is the one is just to the right of those Gold Glove numbers. Arenado has 350 home runs. That's more than everyone on this list except for Michael Jack Schmidt. And to have Ozzie Smith only have 28 career home runs blows my mind. But shortstop was a different position back then, 2K crew. So it doesn't, the lack of home run pop from Ozzie Smith doesn't shock me. The actual number, considering he at least played 13 years. I want to say it's like 22, 23 years. And 28 home runs. 28 home runs, just kind of crazy. But yes, even though Arenado is kind of, last year wasn't great, year before that wasn't that great, this year started out okay, and it's kind of been in that okay, decent kind of category, but the glove is always played. Glove is always played. Like I said, he is one of 2K's most favorite players to watch. So I was kind of hoping to drop that on him, but if he is watching at home, there you go, 2K's. There's your Nolan Arenado tidbit of the day. All right, let's get to that. That's all the news that I have, I think. I did want to touch on, but before we get to the Devers stuff here, because man, oh man, that was. We'll save it. I did want to touch on this a little bit. The whole Caitlin Clark thing again. Still, however you want to, put a bow on it. The whole situation baffles me, and I'm glad that Sophie Cunningham is there. She deserves all of the recognition. Her jersey went from being kind of a middle of the road to being sold out overnight like that. She deserves it. She absolutely deserves it. And if you don't know who Sophie Cunningham is, not only is she a very beautiful, beautiful lady, but she has many accolades to go along with that. Girl was a black belt at a very young age, played football, like tackle football, was a kicker, and is just a beast. Just an absolute beast. And we sat here, 2Ks and I, last year when this whole Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese type thing started going down in the WNBA, and we're like, someone's got to stand up for this girl. Someone, Michael Jordan had Dennis Rodman. Michael Jordan had a bunch of dudes around him. And I'm shocked it's taken this long for any one of the Fever, her teammates to be like, enough's enough. This is stupid. This is absolutely stupid. And the play I'm talking about is the one where she gets gouged in the eye, then she gets body checked, and then the whole thing kind of goes haywire. The whole poke in the eye, I get it. That happens. It did look intentional. The girl was laughing afterwards or prior to, I can't remember which one. So could it be premeditated? Sure. But let's give her the benefit of the doubt. It's just the fact that, and now this is after Caitlin coming back from injury, where the WNBA saw their viewership go down almost half 2K crew. And I don't understand what the other players are thinking, what's going through their mind when they're just beating the shit out of her. Now, one could say that they're beating the shit out of her, which is drawing even more ratings just because everyone wants to see how Caitlin's going to get beat up tonight. I'm not buying that. I'm sure there are some people tuning in for that. I'm not one of those, but it just it blows my mind to see, this is the person that's bringing your league relevancy. She is the reason people are watching your sport. It's not because of you. It's not because of Angel Reese. It's not because of Diana Taurasi. It's not because of any of these other girls. Sure, there may be some, but the vast majority of these girls are tuning in, or the vast majority of people are tuning in to see Caitlin Clark. A lot of these young girls who want to aspire to be Caitlin Clark are tuning in to watch her. Watch her shoot, watch her dribble, watch her score, watch her pass, watch her play with her team, not get the shit beat out of her. So for all, I don't know if it's jealousy. I don't know if I'm not going to say it's racial because I have nothing to back that up. I'm honestly confused. Like, I have no idea what's going through the minds of these players. I'm not saying, teach, the whole kick glove situation, but a lot of these things are blatant. A lot of these things are just intentional. And what gets me going the most is they're not even fouls. Not even fouls. So that's my little tidbit on that. I'll get off my soapbox there. Only to get on another one here talking about Mr. Rafael Devers, the trade that sent him to the San Francisco Giants. And this was rather weird coming into the show last week, like we talked about, because I had the whole show rundown, the outline. All of a sudden, this trade happens out of nowhere, and all of a sudden, boom, got to do a whole new show outline, which was basically off the cuff, off the dome. It was probably kind of scattered if you're actually watching and listening to it, because I didn't really. It was a ultimate reaction video. 90% of what I said about Devers was my initial reaction on the spot. It was the first time I was saying any of it out loud. I didn't write any of it down. Nothing. And the reaction across Red Sox Nation and just across, social media altogether was rather divided. There was a small number of folks that are like, you know what, Turbo, you might be onto something. And the other half was like, fuck this front office, fuck this GM, this team sucks, Cora's a bum. I'm done with the Red Sox. They trade all of their good players, blah, 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 blah. Well, I hate to say it, but if you go back and watch last week's show or listen to last week's show, I highlighted a lot of the things that came out after the fact. After the fact, how the interactions with Big Papi, he didn't want Big Papi's help. Didn't even really want to talk to him. There are reports that, he never wanted to do post-game interviews, never wanted to do interviews, period. And when he was approached by the front office in Cora about, hey, we could really use you at first base, you mind giving it a try? Well, maybe next year. Maybe next year? You mean when Casas is back, you want to try first base then? The whole thing didn't make any sense. And like I sat here and said last week, if he doesn't want to be here, get him the fuck out of here. Addition by subtraction. And I'm not saying that they're going to replace his power numbers, his hitting numbers by any means. But we're seeing, and one of my closing thoughts last week was hopefully this re-energizes Cora. We get to see that fire that's kind of been his MO, the enthusiasm, his whole, his attitude. And we're seeing that. We are seeing that. And aside from some really stupid errors in the field today, this Red Sox team was primed to win their 5th straight series against the Giants, where, yes, of course, Rafi was bound to hit a home run against the Red Sox. It did not come as a shock. I was actually shocked it didn't happen the first game. We had to wait till the second game. But the fact that it happened, it was written in the tea leaves as it is. So as far as being surprised, absolutely not. That was, to me, that was a no-brainer. if you're betting on FanDuel, I would have bet all 3 games he's going to hit a home run. Just because if you hit one, you're going to make your money back on all 3 of them plus some. So probably the easiest bet you had this weekend. And if you didn't cash in on that, I'm sorry, because it was bound to happen. It was bound to happen. And so for all of you that, are completely out on the Red Sox, I get it. I get it. For those of you that are out on the front office and Alex Cora, I understand it. I understand it. And with every single tweet, every single video, everything that I watched, they said, well, Rafi's just as much to blame as the people I just mentioned. And to me, it was almost like, I'm not going to say that it was his plan to get traded this season, but he didn't make a good case to be here regardless. So the only thing I'm going to give you this, the only thing that you can be mad at is the return. I thought the return could have been a little bit more hefty when you're talking about a player like Devers. But like I mentioned last week, the Giants picked up his entire contract. So yes, you could call it a salary dump. I get it. And there's a ton of Red Sox fans. The reason they hate this move in particular is because, is John Henry going to actually put that money back into the team? So that is TBD. We're going to have to see. We're going to have to see. Now, do I think they're going to go out and sign a player like Kyle Tucker? Nope. Nope. Not for $400 million. Nope. Nope. If anything, and then on top of that, I'm not taking anything away from Kyle Tucker. He's he's probably one of the most consistent hitters in baseball, as well as a fantastic fielder, but you're just adding to an already crowded outfield. So again, like we talked about last week, when we're talking about the big 3, now Campbell's down in AAA, which I do not have a problem with that whatsoever. Let him go down there, let him relax, let everything slow down, work on the fielding, work on the fundamentals, get back to where he was at the beginning of the season. Perfect opportunity. Perfect opportunity. He will be back. I'm not worried about that one iota. For those of you who don't remember, the Angels had to send Mike Trout back down to AAA. So, not saying Christian Campbell is going to be Mike Trout, but it happens to the best of them. So for the Red Sox fans that are worried about that, just chill. Just chill. Everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. Now from here on out, it's, I'm completely cool with the Jarren Durant trade again, depending on the return. Sure. But for those of you that are like, well, we have to keep Durant because as this team goes, he goes. We have to keep Rafaela because he's a platinum glove award waiting to happen in center field, and we have to keep Abreu because he mashes both right and left-handed hitting, and he was a Gold Glove right fielder last year. I would take Roman Anthony in any one of those positions over those guys, even right now. Yes, offensively has not come out of the gate as hot as everyone thought he would. But the thing is with him, if you look up his batted balls, he is absolutely beating the piss out of the ball. He's not striking out a lot. And for a young player to not have the strikeouts, not have the chases, but still put good bat to ball, those are going to fall in. I am not worried about him one bit. Not at all. So give me him over any one of those guys at their position. Hell, I'll even take Roman Anthony in center field. Even though Rafaela is playing out of his mind right now, the glove has never been an issue. It's the bat, and the bat is heated up. He pretty much stole this series, or should have stolen this series, from the Giants, hands down. Absolutely. Put the team on his back. So, but in the long run, Roman Anthony will be better than all 3 of those. So that's my Red Sox rant. That's my Rafi Devers rant or reaction to. So let's jump into some MLB kind of the state of the MLB on June 22nd, 2025. Let's check in on a score here. Oh, shit. We got Phillies 5, Mets 0. And what do we got in the NBA? We've got, right now, it looks like it's tied 18-18. It's still in the first quarter. And Halliburton is off to quite a start with 9 points already. So let's go Halliburton. Let's go Pacers. Let's go Pacers. So like the thumbnail and the title said, are the Tampa Bay Rays going to win this American League East? Is that going to happen? As we're doing this on, like I said, I almost said January, July 22nd, 2025. The Yankees they've won 3 of their last 10. The Rays have won 7 of their last 10. And close that gap with the Yankees. They're down 2.5 games to the Yankees in the AL East. And I guarantee if they win this American League East, there is not a single baseball pundit, single baseball fan outside of the rare Tampa Bay Rays fans that picked them to even make the playoffs. This is a team that traded away Randy Arozarena, prior to the trade deadline last year. This was pretty much like supposed to be a skeleton crew of what was left. And look at him. Look at him. 43-35. 2.5 games back. I think they have a legit shot to win this American League East. So let's take this one step further, 2K crew. Let's take a look at their schedule the upcoming schedule as compared to the Yankees. Starting on Tuesday, they go down to Kansas City for 3. And they go over to Baltimore for 3. Then they have the A's at home for 3. Then they go up to the Twins for 3, and then come back to Detroit. And they're at the Red Sox. That'll get us through, the Red Sox series ends July 13th. July 13th. So a lot of winnable games there. Kansas City's been kind of scuffling. Baltimore's garbage. The A's have been scuffling hard. The Twins, where are they sitting at here in this whole mess? Twins are 3 games under 500. And then again against the Tigers, who they matched up against the Tigers very, very well. Very, very well. So let's take a peek at the Yankees. Yankees go to Cincinnati starting tomorrow. Then they have the A's at home. And they have the Blue Jays. They go to Toronto for 1, 2, 3, 4, a 4-banger. Then they go to the Mets. Then the Mariners come in for 3. And the same timeline, let's go to July 13th. They welcome the Cubs. They welcome the Cubs. So if we're projecting out to July 13th, if you're just looking at the sheer schedule that each team has to play and a 2.5 game deficit, man, oh man, this could be the complete opposite. The Rays could overtake the Yankees, and the Yankees could be sitting at 2.5 back. That is not out of the realm of possibility at all. At all. So, yes, the Yankees have won 2 straight. Like I said, they've only won 3 of their last 10. But when we meet again next week, even as early as next week, 2K crew, we could be sitting here talking about the Rays being 1 game back or tied with this Yankee team. There's no doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind. So American League East, watch out. Watch out. This Rays team is for real. Rays team is for real. And speaking of the American League East, 4 of the 5 teams are over 500. Probably one of the only divisions that can say that. Probably one of the only divisions that can say that. The American League Central, we talked about the Tigers. Tigers, how they're they're just coming off a series against the Rays. But I did have one more tidbit here about Mr. Riley Green. This is from Database Hit over on Twitter. Riley Green has been amazing this season. 76 games, 284, 340, 521, 17 home runs, 17 home runs, 40 runs, 59 RBIs, 141 WRC plus, and 2.3 FWAR. Show some appreciation for your all-star outfielder. And I actually quote tweeted that and said, this is one of the reasons why Tigers fans were so excited about him and Torkelson. Even him prior, him getting there. It's been the injuries. It's been the injuries that's kind of plagued Mr. Green, and it hasn't been his play. It's just been his availability. And when he's been there, he's been very, very good. And with this season, we've seen Riley Green be in the lineup more often than not. Now, I think a lot of the headlines with this Tigers team is Skubal grabs a bunch of them, and rightfully so. In the early on, we were talking about Torkelson, kind of his resurgence, as well as Javier Baez, and both of those rightfully so. Now, Torkelson is still kind of a roller coaster. He'll be hot for 2 weeks, deathly cold for 2 weeks, hot for a week, kind of mediocre for a week. So the consistency with him isn't there. Baez still, he was leading. He was very high up in the All-Star game voting. So I'm hoping he gets it, because a turnaround like that is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal, and it's fun to see these draft picks that a lot, because 2Ks is a huge Tigers fan. We talk, he gets tired of me talking about my farm system. I get tired of him talking about his farm system, but it's something that we both get really, really excited about. And for one of these guys, he's kind of dog-eared for a while to be like, watch out for this dude, because once he gets there and once he's there consistently, he's going to be there and be very, very good. And Riley Green has delivered on every single bit of that. And Tigers fans, kudos. You guys got a good one. You guys got a really good one. And I just hope that he is able to stay healthy throughout this season in the playoffs, because this Tigers team is a problem. This Tigers team is a problem. Is a problem. They have the best record in baseball. They're the best team in baseball. Casey Mize spun a gem today. He's been up and down. So it's not so much don't let this team get hot, because they are hot. Don't let them stay hot. Don't let them stay hot. And AJ Hinch has got these boys hitting on all cylinders. So good luck to the rest of baseball. Good luck to the rest of the American League Central, and good luck to the rest of baseball. Because man, oh man, they not only have the best record in baseball, but they have the biggest lead in their division at 8.5 games. They're 8.5 up on the Guardians, 10.5 up on the Royals, 11 up on the Twins, and White Sox are the White Sox. And another surprise going, kind of leading into this is how hot and how good the Houston Astros are and have been. Winners of 7 of their last 10. It looks like they're about 4 games back of the Tigers for the best record, but they're sitting at 45-33. 5 games up on the Mariners. 7 games up on the Rangers. And this Angels team is still fucking around at 7.5 games back, 3 games under 500. I'm not saying they're going to jump the Astros for the lead here, but is it out of the realm of possibility to have these Angels be second in the division here in a couple weeks? No, not at all. Not at all. They're 2.5 games back of the Mariners. Now, yes, I know the Mariners are just getting some very important pitching pieces back. Cal Raleigh continues to be, if I had to vote today, who would be the MVP of the American League? Give me Big Dumper all day. Give me Cal Raleigh. He's hit more home runs. He's hit more home runs before the All-Star break by a catcher all time, and we're still June 22nd. He actually hit another one today. I believe he's sitting at 31. So dude is just hitting the cover off the ball. And he himself is one of the main reasons why this Mariners team, even though they still aren't the best offense, they're, like I said, they're getting their starters back, and um, the starting staff, a lot of people picked to be one of the best starting staffs in baseball. So once this team gets back and once that staff gets back and healthy, Lord knows where this team can go. Lord knows where they can go. But they're sitting 5 games back of an Astros team that I think a lot of people just kind of wrote off, and rightfully so. They don't re-sign Bregman. They trade Kyle Tucker. They're like, all right, this is shaping up to be a fire sale. But what we're seeing is one of the major pieces they got back in that Kyle Tucker trade play amazing, play absolutely amazing. We've seen their shortstop have the best run of his career so far. Mr. Pena has just been on a tear lately. From what I gathered, ever since they moved him up to the leadoff spot, he's hitting hitting almost 400. And the pitching staff still continues to be very, very good. You know, they're sitting here with a plus 46 run differential, so not awesome, not terrible, not awesome, very serviceable. And it seems like this Astros team, just with only one person left, you know, Altuve, well, I guess you get the McCullers in there too, but Altuve's the only one left from that, dynastic team. And it seems like they just keep plugging away and keep doing what they do. So yeah, a huge surprise, because Texas was a sexy pick to win this division. Seattle was a very sexy pick to win this division. A lot of people didn't even have the Astros making the playoffs, let alone leading this division on June 22nd. And you could say that the mediocrity of their division is the reason why they're sitting atop of it, which I think is part of the case. But when you have this resume built up that the Astros have, you just kind of have to be like, same old Stros. Same old Stros. All they do is win. All they do is win. No matter how many media experts, writers, stupid people with podcasts like me that just write them off. They said, you know what? The Astros are the Astros, and this is what we do. And damn it, they're doing it. They're doing it. Well, let's talk about the National League now. We touched on the Mets and Phillies, and like I said, Phillies have won 8 of their last 10. The Mets, 3 of their last 7. So 2 teams going in opposite directions. And let's do a quick score check here. Still 5-0, top of the 6th. So it looks like the Phillies have kind of opened that game up. But yeah, and those 2 teams are tied with the Braves at 10.5 back. Now the thing that kind of now mind you, the Phillies are doing this with a lot of their big pieces on the IL. Bryce Harper in particular, been on the IL for a while. Doesn't look like he's going to. I believe I saw the 27th is when he's eligible to come back. So we'll see if he's able to come back on schedule. But yeah, this is especially the Braves, I think, is the one team that we all as baseball fans can agree they started out way too slow, did get out the gate. We've seen kind of, Acuna has just been tearing the cover off of the ball. And with that being said, there's some rumors going around that he might be available at the deadline. Now, granted, he has 1 year on his left on his contract. After that is going to, it's going to be quite expensive to keep Mr. Acuna in your city if you do trade for him. So how much will the Braves get? Are they going to trade him? And if they do, is he the only one? Is Matt Olson next? Austin Riley? I mean, you could go down the list of who this Atlanta Braves team was one that was supposed to be bulletproof for a decade. They had all their young stars signed through, seemed like 2050. I know it's not, but it just seemed like that. They had Acuna locked down for cheap. They had Albies locked down for cheap. They had Austin Riley locked down, not for cheap, but still locked down. Max Fried left in free agency. They weren't able to retain him. So it's going to be interesting to see what this Braves team does leading up to the deadline. A player like Marcell Ozuna, is he going to remain with the team with someone like that? I don't, it's the Braves are a team to keep an eye on. The Braves historically really haven't been like a knee jerk reaction to stuff like this. But yes, they're sitting 6 games below 500. They definitely need some help. Are they going to really be buyers at this point? I don't know. I really don't know. But to have an all out fire sale, I don't see that. I don't see that happening. The Cubs still sit atop the NL Central with a 3.5 game lead on the Brewers, 4.5 on the Cardinals, 6.5 on the Reds, and they are yet another division that has 4 of the 5 teams over 500. So kudos to them. Them and the West both do. The Cubs are the plus 96 run differential, which I believe is second behind the Yankees at 110. So yes, they're hitting the cover off the ball still, pitching the ball well still. And at 48 and 31, you can kind of see why. And as we know, as the weather heats up, the ball tends to fly a little bit further out of Wrigley. So in offense, it's geared already to do that and has done it already to this point. I don't see them stopping. I mean, this is a team that is bound to add at the deadline. Still TBD about Kyle Tucker. I really wouldn't expect a contract extension or anything like that until after the season, or prior to him being a free agent a little later on. So Cubs fans, if you're worried about re-signing him, which you should, because you gave a boatload of players to get him here, it would be a shame just to give all that up for a rental. But we'll see what price tag Mr. Tucker garnishes in free agency if he makes it that far. Cubs ownership has not really been the most aggressive when it comes to the checkbook, so we shall see. And another thing that I did want to touch on in the news, but didn't really grab anything to kind of back it up, is this Dodgers-Padres rivalry is getting heated, 2K crew. It is getting awesome. Now you might be saying, well, Turbo, the Padres are 5 games back. What difference does it make? Well, that's not insurmountable. Yes, the Dodgers sit there at 48 and 31. Padres at 42 and 35, with the Giants sandwiched in there at 44 and 34. So, yes, they would have to leapfrog 2 teams to lead this division, but this is it. We saw the Dodgers throw at Tatis, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And the world explodes because the Padres throw at Shohei, I believe, twice. I believe he got one in the thigh and one in the back. And I can see why some fans are upset. It's a $700 million man. We're supposed to have him for the next 8+ years. Don't be throwing at that guy. Well, here's the thing. You throw at my best guy, I'm going to throw at your best guy. Once I could see that is, it's happenstance. It happens. People, players get hit all the time. But when it's the 3rd time, yep, all right, now it's with a little bit of intent. And baseball tends to police itself. It always has. And probably always will. And I understand that your guy, Dodger fans, is the unicorn. He just started pitching. Pitched an inning like last week. But we've seen these teams face off in the playoffs the last couple of years. And let's be honest. Last year, the NLCS against these two was the best matchup in the whole playoffs. It was definitely better than the Dodgers-Yankees matchup in the World Series. That series only went 5. We very well could have seen Padres Yankees rather than the Dodgers Yankees. Which, if you're a Yankee fan, I guarantee you want to see the Padres way before you want to see the Dodgers. So that whole thing, we could be sitting on number 28, Yankee fans, if the Padres beat the Dodgers in last year's playoffs. Now you go back, I want to believe it was the year prior, the Padres beat them. So this genre of Padres Dodgers, you might say, to have a rivalry, both teams have to be competitive, Turbo. And in the regular season, the Dodgers have just destroyed the Giants, or have just destroyed the Padres. Well, that could be. I don't have the numbers in front of me for the past 3 years head to head, but what I do know is each one of them has won a series in the playoffs in the last couple of years. And if the things keep going the way that they are, these two teams could see each other in the playoffs yet again this year. But is this Padres team going to be sellers? There's rumors that Tatis might be leaving. I just heard some rumors. It was either yesterday or today that they've been. I'm not saying listening to offers, but offers have been made on Manny Machado, just because this team wants to dump payroll. And Machado's been one of the better hitters on this team the last 3 or 4 weeks. So trying to get him out of town, I really don't understand that. I don't. Is he owed a lot of money? Yeah. So's Tatis. And I think if you're looking at trading either one of them, obviously Tatis is going to get you a bigger return. He's got more years on the contract. He's younger. Does have the PED kind of stuff hanging over his head, whereas Machado doesn't. But Machado's been in the league a whole heck of a lot longer. Not saying he's old, not saying he can't do it, but there's less tread left on the tires there if you pick up what I'm laying down. And that right there could determine your return on a player. If I'm the Padres, I'm not getting rid of anybody. I'm adding to this team because, yes, we're 5 games back. But as we've seen, this Dodger team is not unbeatable. This Dodgers team, yes, they've won 7 of their last 10. They have a plus 78 run differential. But that run differential has come because their hitting is so good. And it seems like some of the times they're just having people out of the crowd come and pitch for them. And a lot of these pitchers, I don't know if we're going to see him back this year. Tyler Glasnow, don't know. Blake Snell, don't know either. You have an aging Clayton Kershaw out there that, yes, is still pitching effectively, but the strikeout numbers aren't there. I think once he hits 3,000 strikeouts, he might just ride off into the sunset. Who knows? Does he finish the season out? I don't know. But if you're the Dodgers, are you ready to give him a playoff spot, a roster spot? It might be. The decision might be made for him because they have no one else. Excuse me. It's out of necessity rather than a luxury, I guess you could say. So, all in all, my take on the season up to this point is I was expecting a lot fewer teams that we could just be like, yep, they're sellers. Yep, they're sellers. And they're actually they're now rumors are rumors. I won't believe it until it actually happens. But this could end up being quite a busy and quite a transactional heavy trade deadline. Whereas prior, if you'd asked me a couple weeks ago, I would have been like, this is going to be so boring. So boring. And we've already seen some trades already. The Red Sox have been very busy, not only with Devers, but they traded someone to the Dodgers for cash, and they got a reliever from Minnesota. So they have been active. How much more? I think we're going to see some more. I really do. Because as you know, one thing we haven't checked is a wild card. Is the wild card. The Rays sit atop the American League wild card, followed by Toronto, and then Mariners, Guardians are tied for that last spot with the Red Sox a half game back. And if we go to the National League, the Phillies, Giants, Brewers with the Padres a half game back, Cardinals 1 game back, Cincinnati 3 games back, D-backs 3.5 games back. So the teams we did not mention, Royals and Rangers are 2 games back of the final wildcard spot in the American League. But teams like the Angels, the Orioles, the A's, the White Sox, the Braves, the Nats, the Marlins, the Pirates, the Rockies. There's a lot of meat on that bone. Now, I don't foresee, especially when we're talking about players from the Nats, I don't think they move any of the young core kids. With the Pirates, I would be blown away if Skeens is moved, or even the Bubba Chandler, or any of that pitching staff. Even O'Neal Cruz, I don't see them getting away from him. We talked about the Braves. What did they do? I don't know. Corbin Carroll, I think you can say, is pretty much solidified in Arizona. Mike Trout, could this be the year that the Angels actually trade Mike Trout? I don't know. It would be awesome. And with Baltimore, what did they do with that young core that's underperforming? We just saw Adley Rutschman go down on the IL. Will not be back prior to the All-Star game. So what do they do? The A's have a really good young core. Who do they keep? Do they keep them all? Do they add? I mean, there's way too many things here that there's way more questions than answers. And yes, that's always going to be the case, especially this time of year. But we shall see what happens moving forward. And like I said, I'm actually going to be shocked. As compared to 2 weeks ago when I thought this trade deadline was just going to be so boring. And I think there's going to be more surprises than what a lot of us think. And I really don't think that Rafael Devers is the only major name that's going to be moved. And when I say major name, I mean multi-time All-Star, just a big name, just a big name. So everyone, grab your pants because this is going to get awesome. This is going to get awesome. Well, 2K crew, that's about our 1 hour here with you guys and gals. Everyone have a great week. Stay cool, especially here in Michigan. I believe they said we're on day 2 of 5 of really fucking hot weather. So everyone, get to the lake, get to the pool, stay in your AC. Everyone have a great week. And as always, Jim Rome, we're coming for you.